Namaste, and welcome to Introduction to Hatha Yoga. I'm John Reiners. I teach here at Georgia Highlands College. I get paid to teach the business and econ classes, but I also teach an intro to yoga class here. I really have enjoyed teaching that. I've enjoyed having yoga as part of my life. Yoga brings a sense of peace and energy to me that I haven't found in many other things. So I hope you'll find that true too as you try to experience yoga for yourselves. What do you need to get started in yoga? Well, the basics are to have a mat. You can do it just on your rug or floor at home, but I highly recommend you have a mat. When I first started yoga, I always bought my mats at Walmart or TJ Maxx, and those do fine. Now that I'm more serious, I have one of the good mats from the yoga magazines, but you really need to have a mat. One of the things you need to be careful of is slipping in a yoga pose. The mat gives you that little extra security. And I recommend the yoga mats. There are some of these exercise mats that are kind of thicker and fluffier. I don't like those. I think those are likely to slip, so be sure you've got a good yoga mat. I always like to have a blanket here, so you can sit on the blanket in the seated poses. Typically for most folks to have their hips elevated a little in the seating poses helps. As well, having a pair of blocks is a big advantage. I'll show you how you can use those. That helps kind of stretch the body a little. Nice to have a strap too to give your arms a little extra length. And nice to have an eye pillow as well. This isn't needed for the poses, but when we go into the final stage of savasana and relaxation, the eye pillow is nice. But as with any exercise program, be sure you consult with your doctor before starting any yoga routine, and just be sure that you're in good shape. But even folks with back problems, heart problems, have done very well in yoga. One of the keys is always to do it at your own pace. Yoga is not one of the programs where it's no pain, no gain. In fact, just the opposite. If you're ever feeling a sense of stress or pain in any of the poses, it's a sign to back off and just relax a little. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We want to just sit tall, so find yourself a comfortable seated position and really kind of feel the weight of your body down on the sit bones. But at the same time you're kind of seated down, you want to stretch up. You want to really try to extend the spine. Almost all the poses that we do in yoga, we're going to be stretching the spine up and long, and we want to start that in the seated pose right here. So find the comfortable pose, and while you're solid on the sit bones, you're also stretching up. And I like to think of the back as having three parts. So you want to try to feel that stretch right from the base of the spine, right from the lumbar region, so it feels like you're pulling up from the pelvic floor and really trying to stretch up that lower back. As you do that, the tummy kind of pulls in, and that's the next part. We want to get the chest region or the center of the back to stretch up and lift the heart, lift the chest. Pull the tummy in underneath the chest so you're sitting nice and tall. Extend the chest up, and then tuck your head just slightly. So we want to get the crown of the head. So the crown of the head, like you've got a little hook on the crown of the head pulling you taller. And just sit tall and breathe. Breathing is an important part of the whole yoga routine as well. I like to think of the breath as in three parts too, that when you start the breath, we want to do belly breathing or yoga breathing. So breathe low into the tummy, feel the diaphragm expand, really fill up the tummy, and then keep inhaling. Bring the breath into the lungs, feel the side of the ribs expand, and then bring all the way up to the top of the chest. Try to lift those collarbones a little, and then pause, and then slow exhale. Just release the shoulders, release the ribs, pull the tummy back in. Exhale should be just as long as the inhale. Let's take another nice, deep, slow breath here. And then nice, slow exhale. Part of the reason to focus on the breath is to help get the attention. We want the mind focused right here, right now, on just our yoga poses. We want to leave all the worries of our daily routine, all the deadlines, budgets, all that stuff. We just kind of push it gently off the end of the yoga mat. We're going to let this mat be like a little sanctuary for us. So this is our own time to really feel that sense of peace and release right here. So let's sit tall and bring your hands out to the side with fingertips on the mat or on the floor. Tuck the tummy in again. Lift the chest. Crown of the head is up, so you've got your chin tucked just a little bit. Let's take another nice deep, slow breath. And this next inhale, let's raise both arms slowly, deliberately. Stretch through the fingertips. Keep inhaling. Come all the way up. Stretch up. Tummy comes way in. Pause at the top of the breath. And then turn the hands and let's slowly exhale them all the way back down. Let's do that exact thing once again. Just slowly inhale up. Trying to coordinate movement with breath. So stretch up on the inhale. Pause. Turn the palms out and just slowly release on the exhale. Bring both hands up again on the inhale. And this time at the top, we're going to interlace the fingers. Take your exhale here. And then we're going to flip the palms up and we're going to stretch up. Use your arms to help extend the spine and just stretch as tall as you can. And then release the arms and slowly exhale down. Let's do that one more time again. So both arms up. Stretch through those fingertips. Keep the tummy in. And interlace your fingers. Take your exhale. Flip the palm up and stretch. And then release and just quietly float your hands all the way down. Just one arm this time. So swing the right arm up. Big slow breath. Stretch just as tall as you can. Keep that tummy tucked in. And then we're going to side bend to your left. So just walk that left hand out. Keep that right sit bone anchored on the mat. And stretch up and over on that right side. Turn the head to look at that inside elbow if you can. But we want to feel that big stretch on the right side of the body. But inhale up, over. And we're going to hold this for about 3 or 4 breaths. We really want to focus in each of the poses on extending and aligning ourselves with the inhale, and then just relaxing into the pose on the exhale. So each inhale should feel like you're stretching up and over a little bit more on that right side. And then inhale back up, stretch tall, take that moment to kind of unkink, and then turn the hand and slowly exhale, right hand down. Left arm comes up. Slow stretch through those fingers. And when you get tall, just take that moment to stretch up, tummy's in. Exhale, we're going to the right side. Keep that left sit bone anchored on the mat. Stretch up and over. In side bends, we want to take a big inhale. Really try to expand the ribs as much as you can. We're going to stretch all those little intercostal muscles between the ribs. Big breaths, big stretch. And then inhale back up. Take that moment to stretch tall. And then exhale slowly down. And then keep both hands kind of firm on the mat or the floor with the fingertips there. And we want to release the neck. We tend to store a lot of tension in the shoulders and neck. But just drop your chin to the chest. Sit tall. Keep your tummy tucked in. Keep the shoulders relaxed. And feel like you're still pulling up through the spine, even though your head is tucked all the way to the chin. And take those nice, deep, full breaths. And then the next inhale, we're going to stretch the chin up. We're going to point the chin right towards the ceiling. And again, try to extend up. Tummy is in. Keep the shoulders down. There's a tendency to kind of arch the shoulders up. We want to keep the shoulders as low as we can. But stretch out the front of the neck. And gently release that. Come back to level. And let's turn, look over the left shoulder. Keep your shoulders square to the front. Keep the tummy in. Turn the head and neck just as far as you can to the left. Keep those nice, deep, slow breaths still. And release this and gently swivel all the way around, and we'll look over the right shoulder. Sit tall, shoulders relaxed. Still keep your chin tucked just a little. And gently release this, and let's come back and look over this left knee. Bring your left hand up and bring it on the top of your head. Just find wherever is going to be most convenient or comfortable for you, but we want to pull the face right over towards that knee while we're keeping the shoulders square and keeping your nice tall posture. And just feel that release on that right side of the neck. Play with the position of your hand a little bit to find just the right spot you need to release that tension in the back of the neck. And big, slow breaths again. And gently release that. And we're going to turn to look over the right knee. Right hand comes up. Find that spot on the crown of the head to just gently pull your face over like you're stretching the nose right to the knee. Keep your shoulders square and big breaths. I can feel this release and stretch all the way from my neck down through this shoulder. And just enjoy it. Let the weight of the arm just stretch out those neck muscles. And gently release that, come back to center. And let's go ahead and just rest the hands on the shin in front. Take another big inhale and feel the spine stretch up. So tummy comes in, chest lifts, tuck your chin just slightly, crown of the head is way up, stretch as tall as you can. And now on the exhale, I want to hinge from the hips, hinge right from the hips, and just tilt forward. Doesn't make any difference how far you come. If this is all the farther you get, that's fine, but keep the back as straight as you can. Try to feel on the inhales that you're stretching up and forward. On the exhales, it's like you're pushing down through the tailbone into the mat. And just gently start to walk your hands out wherever is going to be comfortable for you. I mean, just let your own body, let your own breath just tell you how far to go. So just let your breath and body tell you where is a comfortable pose to you, but stretch forward on the inhale, push back through the tailbone on the exhale, and just stretch and breathe. Keep your head tucked, so you want to keep the chin tucked to the chin. You want to really lead with the crown of the head, not with your nose. And big, slow breaths. And gently release that. Walk your hands back, inhaling as you come back. Let's bring our hands just behind us. And let's just do a little gentle baby back bend. So we're just going to arch the shoulders back. Try to lift the heart up between the shoulders. You want to look up towards the ceiling and really just have a gentle arch. We're not going to try to really stretch this, but just lift the heart. Keep those big, slow breaths in. We keep the shoulders rolled back. This is a good pose to try to feel the breath come all the way up to the top of the shoulders. Lift those collarbones up. And then gently release it on an exhale. Come back and sit nice and straight and tall. Let's do just a gentle twist to help release the back. Bring the right hand to the left knee. Put the right hand back behind you. First thing we need to do is sit tall. So the crown of the head is up, tummy is in, and then on the exhale, we're going to twist gently to your left. Try to keep straight up and down, so you don't want to be tilting way back or leaning forward. You want to keep the torso, the core of the body straight up and down, and twist in the middle of the back. We're turning the rib cage more than anything else. Let your head and neck gently follow, and turn to look behind you. Big breaths again, big full breaths to try to expand the ribs. And gently release that. Come back to the center and let's go the other way. Left hand to the right knee, right hand's behind you. You want to sit tall and straight, tummy's in, big breath and exhale as you twist around to your right. Turn in the middle of the back again, turn in the rib cage. Like on the inhales, you get taller, get a little skinnier, tuck that tummy in, and exhales, twist a little bit more. And gently release that, come back to the front. And let's go ahead and do a shoulder release. So let's just bring the shoulders up and forward. And just sit tall and release the shoulders. Bring them up as high as you can, close to your ears, and just let them roll back. And then let's stop and reverse direction. So bring them up and back. Nice big shoulder rolls. And then release that. And let's take a big inhale with the arms stretched just as far as we can to the side. Stretch through those fingertips. Tummy's in, but really expand the ribs. And then let's make fists to both hands, and let's bring the left hand straight across. Bend the right, and we're going to bring this right wrist in front of that left wrist. And use that right hand to kind of leverage the left arm over. Keep that left arm as straight as you can. And this is a nice release in the left shoulder. Sit tall and gently turn to look over that left shoulder. Big, slow breaths. Lots of times I find that if I can kind of visualize breathing right through the shoulder, if I can feel like I'm breathing in through this shoulder and out through that shoulder, that helps me get a little bit better release on the shoulder. And then release that, and let's inhale just as wide as we can. Again, stretch through those fingertips. Big, big breath, and then fist. This time, the right hand comes across, bend the left. Sit tall, you're staying square to the front, and then just keep that right arm straight, pull it over, and gently turn to look over that right shoulder. Big, big breaths again. Still feel that uplift in the spine, so the tummy is in, you're still lifting up through the spine. And gently release that, and let's inhale just as far as we can. Big, big breath. And exhale slowly. Let's bring our hands right back together in prayer position in front of the heart. And just bow the head slightly to look down at the fingertips. And let's take another deep, slow breath right here. And let's go ahead and take another breath. To me, the three keys in yoga, more than anything else, are, of course, stretching the spine, all the physical postures that we do. But that sense of deep, easy breaths, following our breath, being aware of our breath is key. And the other part is bringing the attention to right here and now, so that our mind is only focused on this yoga. We're leaving everything else apart, and bring that sense of peace and calm to our mind. All right, let's release this, and then let's come standing. And we'll start with the standing poses. What I want to do is we'll go through each of the individual poses that I did in that sequence of poses to start this lesson. That's what we call a sun salutation. Yoga has many sun salutations. That one is it's a 6-breath salutation where we go through about 11 poses. But I want to go through each of those poses now slowly, and then we'll put those together and go through those in sequence a little bit later on. But we're going to start in mountain pose, Tadasana. Tada means mountain in Sanskrit. Asana is pose, so that's the mountain pose. So bring your big toes closer together than your heels. Have your heels a little bit further out. I always like to think of my feet as basically pie shape rather than rectangular. So the feet are wider in the front. We need to have the toes a little bit closer together than the heels so that they're even. And feel the lift up through the legs. Lift up through the torso too, so we're tucking the tailbone under, feeling the tummy pull in, the chest lift, crown of the head is up so the chin is tucked, arms are pulling gently down by the side. And then let's add yoga toes. I want you to lift the toes, look down at between your toes and see if you can spread them wide enough so that you can actually see the mat between there. One of these days I'm really going to be able to do that. I can almost do it on the right side. But really lift and spread the toes. Feel how that kind of strengthens that feeling of lift through the legs. And then let's add yoga hands and fingers. So we're going to stretch our fingers down towards the mat. Just stretch them out as far as you can. Again, once you do that while you're stretching down, that accentuates that stretch up in the spine. And just take a couple breaths here with the fingers stretching down, the toes stretching up. And then on your next exhale, let's gently release the fingers, release the toes, but keep that same uplift through the spine. Feel like you're really still pulling up on the inhale through the entire torso. And on the exhale, feel that gentle wave of relaxation down through the shoulders, arms, down through the fingertips. Just take one more breath here in Tadasana, mountain pose. And then just release that, and let's just do a little wiggle to relax a little bit. I like to call this the Wiggle Wagasana, but officially this is Ganeshasana. Ganesh, if you may know, is the elephant god in Hindu mythology, and Ganeshasana, he's just wagging his trunk in front. All right, let's do just an upward stretch. So start in mountain again. Tuck the tailbone under, the tummy in, feel that lift. And we're going to inhale, both arms up. Stretch up, really stretch tall. And then turn the palms out and just slowly exhale down. That's Tarasana, just the upward stretch. Now we're going to go ahead and add the forward bend to that. This time I just want to come halfway down, but let's start with stretching up again. So inhale, stretch through the fingers, stretch up just as tall as you can, and then on the exhale we're going to swan dive forward, but bring the hands right to the knees, and we're just coming halfway down. Tuck your chin, pull the tummy up. We want a nice flat back, kind of rock forward so there's more feet on the balls, more weight on the balls of the feet. But we want to feel that stretch forward on the inhale. Feel the tummy tighten on the exhale, and just try to hold this nice horizontal stretch. Keep the back as flat as you can. And take one more breath here. Stretch forward on the inhale. Feel the tummy tighten on the exhale. And then gently release that, and let's inhale both hands wide and come all the way back up. Stretch tall, tummy's in, and then exhale the hands right back down to the side. All right, this time we're going to do the full forward bend. This is Uttanasana, so we're going to come all the way down. We start in mountain, so feel that strength of the upward lift through the legs and torso. We'll inhale the arms up. Stretch tall. Take that pause at the top of the breath, and then exhale. We're going to swan dive all the way down and bring the hands as low as you can. This is a great spot for blocks. A lot of folks have trouble reaching all the way down, so if you can add blocks to help you, give something to push against, that's a big help. But if not, keep your hands on your knees or shins or wherever is comfortable. But part of what we want to do is to rock forward, so bring the weight more on the balls of the feet, and try to stretch down and forward, and just come to where is comfortable. If you need the blocks or your hands on your knees or shins or wherever it is, but try to feel the stretch in the low back. Big slow breaths again. Try to keep the tummy tucked in and just enjoy the stretch. Forward bends are very relaxing, soothing. And then on your next inhale, let's spread the arms wide, and we're going to come all the way back up. Stretch tall, and then exhale the hands right back down. All right, that's the first part of the sun salutation when we're stretching and going into forward bend. The next part is where we go into the lunge position. So for that, let's start in tabletop. So let's come down and start with hands and knees on the mat, and just kind of find a nice square position in tabletop. Spread your fingers just as wide as you can, and try to keep the weight on the knuckles as much as on the palms. And then typically when we get into table, there's a tendency to kind of relax, and the tummy relaxes. We've got a swayed back. We don't want the sway back. You want to pull your tummy in, tuck that tailbone under, try to keep as flat and strong a back as you can. Your gaze is right down between the hands, and let's just take a couple of breaths here. Feel like the inhale stretches you long, and the exhale, you're strengthening the tummy. We could have Brian come in and sit down right on your back, and you wouldn't even notice it. And then just gently release that. Let's wiggle hips, wiggle the shoulders a little bit. We want to come from here into some of the lunge positions. We're going to go to low lunge first. So to start low lunge, let's bring this right foot forward, put it right between the hands. And for the lunge, lots of times it's helpful to have the blocks. So if you need the blocks, have them right here. what we want to do in lunge is to lengthen the back. So we're going to stretch up so you're looking straight ahead. And as we stretch up, we kind of rock forward so this right knee comes out in front of the ankle and the hips drop. Feel the hips drop. You want to keep the hips as low as you can. Try to keep the shoulders and hips square to the front. And yeah, you're stretching forward as the hips drop, stretching up through the crown of the head. So you feel that energy coming up, and stretch and breathe. If you don't need the blocks, yeah, you can just put your hands on the mat and stretch. Your gaze is straight forward, about 3 feet off the ground in front of you. And big, slow breaths. Feel the spine extend through this. Inhale, stretch up through the crown of the head. Exhale, feel like the hips can just dive a little bit deeper. And then gently release this. Come back to the knee right above the ankle, and let's come back to the tabletop, and we'll go the other side. So bring your left knee up, and we'll again lift the head so you're looking straight ahead, and then just gently try to transition into low lunge, where you rock the hips down and forward, push that knee forward. Again, lots of times it's very helpful to have the blocks. So one of the things I often see is folks tend to not get much further than this unless they've got blocks. So with blocks, try to get your shoulders a little bit higher, or maybe you can drop your hips a little bit lower. Stretch forward. Your gaze is straight ahead. Again, try to feel on the inhale you're stretching up through the crown of the head, and the exhale you're dropping the hips just a little bit lower. And then gently release that. Let's come back to tabletop again. Take a breath here. And if you noticed at the beginning, I did not have my knee on the ground. I did a high lunge. So that's what we're going to go to next. Let's bring this right foot in front again. And again, blocks may be very helpful for you. So we want to keep the weight on the blocks, or the weight of your hands on the mat. Tuck this left toe down. Now your gaze is not going to be straight ahead. The gaze is going to be right down at the end of the mat. And we're going to stretch this left hip up. You want to keep the hips even. You don't want this left hip to sag, or you don't want it to open too much. You want to try to keep the hips as even as you can. Now the line of energy is running from that left heel, running all the way through that left heel, right up through the back, through the crown of the head. You should feel that strong sense of stretching forward on the inhale, and still feel like you're pushing back through that left heel on the exhale. So take those nice, deep, slow breaths and stretch. Tummy is tight. We're going to have the tummy engaged to keep this pose active. And then gently release that, and we'll come back to the tabletop again. Take a breath, and we get to go the other way. So the left foot comes up, and again, if you need blocks, they're there. If you don't need blocks, why, you can just tuck your right toes and stretch up. Again, try to keep that hip level. Don't have it too low or too high. We want to keep the hips level, the shoulders level. Gaze is right down off the end of the mat. And big stretch. Inhale, we're stretching up through the crown of the head. Exhale, feel that push back through the right heel. Tummy is really engaged. Trying to keep the back as long and straight as you can. Deep, slow breaths again. Let your breath tell you just how far to go, but try to keep the spine as straight as you can. And then on the next exhale, just release that knee. Come back down. And let's go ahead and take a little rest in one of my favorite positions. This is Balasana, child's pose. And we're going to drop the heels, drop the knee, the tailbone right back down to the heels. To me, it helps to open my knees a little bit. Keep your hands extended in front, and just drop your forehead to the mat, and just take nice, deep, slow breaths, and just completely relax. Child's pose is a nice pose to go to anytime you get a little bit too tired or too stressed in yoga poses. You can just come to child's pose and just rest and relax. Yeah, let's release out of that back into tabletop again. One of the other poses we did in the sun salutation sequence was plank. To get to plank, let's bring our hands a little bit in front of the shoulders. So we're moving the hands a little bit in front of us. Again, a lot of folks may need blocks for plank. For plank, we tuck the toes, and all we do is just straighten the body. Try to keep it straight. You don't want a big arch in the body. You don't want too much of a bow in the body. I see a lot of folks with the bow. Sometimes, the blocks help that. If you can have blocks to help straighten out the body, so you've got this nice straight line. That's what we want. Again, feel the energy stretching forward through the crown of the head, energy pushing through the heels. And just take one more breath here in plank. Tummy is tight, strong position. And then from plank, we're going to just drop straight down. This kind of yoga push-up. We're just going to gently begin to lower down. It's the Chaturanga Dandasana. And we want to just hover an inch off the mat just for a second or two, and then drop all the way down to the mat. And just rest on the mat. And we're going to get ready to go into Cobra. But let's go ahead and start in crocodile position. Just make a little pillow of your hands and turn your head one way or the other. Bring your big toes together and just completely release. Feel the weight just drop into the floor. Feel your hips push into the floor. And this is a little bit of a back bend. Your head is a little bit higher than the hips. You're not going to feel much of this, but this is getting us ready for the bigger back bends of Cobra. And let's release from crocodile to bring your hands right under the shoulders. Rest your forehead right on the mat. Now I want to go into baby cobra. This is Bhujangasana, cobra position. And we're just going to stretch forward. So we run the forehead and the nose and the chin along the mat. Lift the head, the neck, the shoulders. And just try to get to the edge of the ribs in front of the mat. Not pushing through the hands. You can actually wiggle your fingers. So you just want to arch up, look as high forward on that front wall as you can. Stretch and breathe. Pushing down through the tops of the feet. Stretching up and forward. And then the next exhale, just slowly release that. Come straight back down and just rest your forehead on the mat. And just take a breath. And where we're going next is into full cobra, where we'll actually add the arms this time. So hands right under the shoulders again, forehead on the mat. And we're going to inhale as we stretch forward, bring the nose, the chin, the head, the neck, lift that rib cage. Now I add the arms and push up, but don't bring your hips off the mat. You want to keep the hips anchored on the mat. I can't straighten my arms, some people can, but you want to keep the hips anchored, tops of the feet anchored, and then arch to look up just as high as you can. And keep breathing. Big, slow breaths. And then gently release on the exhale. Try to come down very slowly. And when we get down, let's make a pillow out of our hands again. And let's turn the head the other way and just rest in crocodile for a couple breaths. Feel your breath expand against the mat. Big, slow, deep breaths. And then let's release from crocodile. We're going to bring our hands up under the shoulders again and come back up into tabletop. So just push back up so you're on your hands and knees again. And we've got one more position we need to work through. That's downward dog, Hatha Mukha Savasana. So let's bring the hands a little bit in front of the shoulders again. Fingers are wide. Keep the weight on the knuckles as much as the palms. And we'll transition into this by doing what we call the cow position. So this time on the inhale, we're going to drop the belly and big arch in the back as the head comes up, the tailbone comes up, big stretch. And then on the exhale, let's tuck the toes and we're going to push all the way up. Lift the knees and push the hips back up and try to get your hips just as high as you can. Tummy is tucked in. Keep the back as straight as you can. Head's just relaxed and let it hang between the shoulders and try to push the shoulders just as far away from the head as you can. And just stretch up into down dog. If you need to keep your legs bent, that's fine. Or what helps me is to actually walk the dog a little bit. So just bend that right knee and try to get that left leg straight, and then bend the left leg and try to get the right leg straight. And just let your dog do a little bit of walking here and feel that stretch in each hamstring. And then release that, and let's come right back down to tabletop and take a breath. And I want to go back up to the down dog one more time. Down dog is I was going to say one of my favorite yoga positions, and it is, but it's still one of the toughest for me. It's a strenuous pose, but it's a good stretch for arms and legs and tummy. But let's go back into down dog one more time. So we're going to take a big inhale and arch into cow. Head up, feel the spine fold into the middle of the back, and then tuck your toes, and on the exhale we're going to push all the way back up into down dog. Really try to get the shoulders as high as you can, let the head just hang. Tummy is in, feel the chest lifted a little bit. On the inhales, feel like you're stretching the spine forward. On the exhales, feel like you're pushing that tailbone higher. Big slow breaths. And then to release that, let's just gently walk the hands forward until we get into forward bend. And just take a breath in forward bend, and then swing the arms wide, and we're going to inhale all the way up. Stretch tall and exhale. All right, we've done most of the pieces of the sun salutation, so we're getting ready to go ahead and put the pieces together and do it in sequence. This is a vinyasa. Vinyasa yoga is a flow of yoga positions. Typically, we like to hold each yoga position for about 4, 5, 6 breaths to really feel that stretch. In the vinyasa, we only hold each position for a breath and flow right into the other. I'm going to go through this slowly this time, and we may take 1 or 2 breaths in each position. But try to get a feel for this. We want to eventually move with the breath through each pose. But come and start in Tadasana. So legs are strong, tailbone is tucked under, the tummy is in. Lift the chest, tuck the chin, lift through the crown of the head, pull down through the arms a little bit. And then on an inhale, we'll start. We're going to inhale the arms up and just stretch tall, Tadasana. Go ahead and take a full breath here. And then the next exhale, we're going to do a forward bend and just swan dive all the way forward. If you need the blocks again, use the blocks to help you, find that nice stretch in forward bend. And again, try to, tilt forward a little bit. What happens in forward bends is we always kind of stick our butt out behind us, and we want to correct for that. So you want to kind of rock forward and just, find that weight mostly on the balls of the feet. Feel almost like you're tipping forward. That gives you a better stretch in the lower back, better stretch in the hamstrings. All right, from Tadasana, from Uttanasana, from the forward bend, we're going to take a big step back into lunge. And you can do it either just step back and go into low lunge, or if you can't, step all the way back and go right into high lunge. That's better, what you want to do. But try it again. Feel the hips square through, feel that back straight as you can. Push back through the heel. Your gaze is down just off the end of the mat now. And a big stretch here. And then we exhale right into plank. Tummy is tight. Try to keep it just as straight as you can. Take another inhale here. And then on the exhale, we're going to drop down. Do that slow drop down. This is Chaturanga Dandasana, so we want to drop down and hover over the mat for just a little bit, and then drop right down into the position on our tummy. Bring the hands right under the shoulders, and we're going to immediately inhale and stretch forward right into Cobra. So lift the head, neck, shoulders, arch up, use the hands to push up a little, but keep the hips on the mat. Stretch and breathe. And then from here, we've got the big move. We're going to try to go from here all the way to down dog. So tuck your toes, and either you can just come right to tabletop and then go to down dog, or if it's comfortable for you and you'll go with the toes tucked, just push all the way into down dog, whichever is comfortable. We want to stretch into down dog. Again, strong arms, tummy is in, keep that back flat. And then from down dog, we do a big step into lunge. And again, you can drop the left knee and step it forward, or if you can keep that knee up and just step forward into lunge, push back through that left heel. Try to keep the shoulders and hips square. Look down at the end of the mat. And then we're going to take a giant step forward with that left foot and just hang it forward bend for a moment. And then we're going to inhale up. Stretch tall and exhale, the arms down. All right, that was kind of a punctuated sun salutation where we took time to go through some of the different positions and breathing. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the left side, so we'll take it a little bit slower and then we'll do it at more normal speed on each side. So find your nice solid mountain. So we want to feel the strength of the legs, the length through the torso. Inhale, the arms up. Feel the tummy come really in, stretch tall. And exhale, forward bend. Keep the back as straight as you can. If you need the blocks, be sure you've got them there for support. And tilt forward. Be sure you've got that weight over the balls of the feet. And then from here, we're going to take that giant step back. You can bring the knee to the mat if you need, but really try to feel stretched through that right heel. Keep the hips level, keep the shoulders level. Then we're going to go back into plank. Tummy is tight. Take the inhale here, and then on the exhale, we're going to slowly lower down. Hover for just a moment, about an inch off the mat, and then we're going to drop into the tummy position, hands underneath the shoulders, and inhale as we stretch forward, bring the head and neck up, push from the arms, but keep the hips anchored on the mat. Stretch up and tuck your toes. Big exhale, and either go to tabletop or push all the way up. Find that long stretch, push the hips just as high as you can. And then we're going to step forward, keep the hips square, and then step forward with that right leg. Exhale down and really stretching forward bend, and then inhale all the way up. Stretch tall and exhale down. All right, we've been through it at a slow pace for a couple times. Now I want to go ahead and let's try to do it on a more normal pace or a more typical pace. This is should be a 6-breath sun salutation. We've got actually 11 poses we're doing here, but let's try to do it at a little quicker pace on the breath. So start at the front of the mat again. We're going to come into mountain pose. Feel that strong toe or strong lift through the legs. Lift up your toes into yoga toes, stretch your fingers down and just kind of stabilize in mountain. And then let's inhale all the way up. Stretch tall. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, right leg all the way back. Exhale, into plank. Slowly lower down as you inhale. Take a breath and then inhale into cobra. Tuck your toes. We're going to exhale all the way to down dog. Inhale, right leg comes forward, stretch into lunge. Exhale, left leg comes forward, forward bend, rock forward. And then inhale, both arms up. Stretch tall and exhale, the hands down. All right, we're halfway there. We get to do the other half now. So inhale, both arms up. Big stretch. Exhale, forward bend. Hands on the blocks or hands to the mat. And then inhale, left foot comes back. Big push back through that left heel. Exhale into plank. Just kind of gently inhale as you come down. Hover, drop down. Exhale, and then we're going to gently stretch into cobra. Tuck your toes. We're going to exhale all the way back up to down dog. Big push, hips as high as you can get them. And then inhale that left leg forward again. Push into lunge. Exhale that right foot forward. Rock forward on the balls of the feet. And then inhale all the way up. Stretch tall. And exhale the hands down. All right, we've made it through our first sun salutations. Let's come back to the mat and just find that comfortable seated pose again. Although this time we're going to stretch the legs long on the mat. So stretch your legs long and find your comfortable seated or solid seated position. Be sure you have a nice strong seat on the sit bones. And let's go ahead and engage the legs. So flex the toes. We want to bend the toes back. Thighs are engaged, the calves are engaged. And the next step is to stretch the torso. So we want to do those same three-part stretch. So try to feel that tailbone tuck under, feel that the front of the pelvis maybe lift a little. Feel that lift from the pelvic floor. We want to stretch that low spine, tummy comes in, and then really lift the chest. Pull the tummy in even further. Tuck the chin. We're stretching the crown of the head top. And let's just bring the hands by the hips. The arms are not real active. We're just doing kind of a little gentle support for the back. The back is supported by tummy muscles, the chest muscles, the neck muscles. We're really stretching up with each breath. And this is a good position to practice your yoga toes again. So, try to lift the toes towards you and spread them as far as you can. Keep the chin tucked to feel that stretch up through the crown of the head. Each inhale brings you a little bit taller. And then gently release that. And release the shoulders. And just wiggle a little bit and relax. And from here, let's just do a nice gentle forward bend. So we'll come back into Dandasana. Stretch the feet back towards you, legs engaged. Stretch up through the spine. And then we're going to add the arms. Inhale, both arms up. Stretch as tall as you can, and exhale, tilt forward. You want to keep the back straight, so tilt as straight as you can. We're bending from the hips. Doesn't make any difference how far you come, if you get your hands to the knees or shins or wherever. This is a good strap pose. It's nice to have a strap so you can just hook the strap around your feet and use that to help kind of stretch you a little bit further forward. Let the back stay straight, tummy stays in, chin stays tucked. You want to lead with the crown of the head. Don't lead with your nose. And just stretch as far forward as comfortable. Let your breath tell you how far to go. Keep those nice, deep, slow breaths in each pose. And just stretch and breathe. Each inhale, feel like you're stretching out and forward. Each exhale, feel like you're pushing a little bit further back and down through the tailbone. And then let's gently release this. Let's do a nice easy twist. Let's bend this right leg. We're going to bring it over the left leg. And you can use your left arm just to kind of hold that in, but we want to sit nice and straight and tall. And we're going to twist to our right. So bring your right hand back behind you, wherever is comfortable. Sit tall, feel the tummy come in, and then turn in the middle of the back. Turn the rib cage again. And try to turn to look behind you as much as you can. Keep the left foot flexed. The left leg is our anchor, so that needs to be firm. And stretch up tall, tummy is in, and twist gently to your right. Deep, slow breaths again. Try to feel the ribs expand as much as you can. And gently release that. Bring the other leg out. And we get to go the other way. So bend this left knee. And we're going to bring it over the right leg. Sit tall. We want to sit straight up. Flex that right foot. This is our foundation, so keep that strong. Just hug this knee into the chest. Bring the left hand out behind you. Inhale up, tummy's in, and exhale. Gently twist. Turn the rib cage. Doesn't make any difference how far shoulders or head and neck comes. We're trying to turn the rib cage. And deep, slow breaths. Big, big breaths. Really expand the ribs. And gently release that. Come back to the front. Bounce that leg out. And let's do some one-legged forward bend. So bend this right leg. We'll bring it, the sole of the foot, as high as we can on that inside left thigh. Mine doesn't come very high, but this is the knee that's been replaced on me, so I accept and am grateful for however much it bends. And then we have to square our shoulders up with this left leg. So we want to sit tall, square the shoulders over the left leg, and inhale the arms up. Keep that left leg engaged and flexed, and then tilt. Try to keep the back as straight as you can. Release the hands to the knees, to the shin, wherever. But again, this is a good spot for a strap. Just strap it over that foot. Keep the chin tucked so we're stretching forward through the crown of the head. And just stretch and breathe.
Though you cannot be heard, you have guided and loved me.
And gently release that. And let's go the other way. So right leg comes out, left leg is bent. Bring that just as high as you can on the inside thigh. This is our anchor. So this leg is flexed and active. Square the shoulders over this right foot. Inhale the arms up. Stretch, really lengthen the spine, and then tilt forward. Release your hands to the knee or shin or wherever, or use your strap to just gently pull you forward. And yes, inhale stretches forward, exhale, push back down through the spine. With big slow breaths. Let your breath tell you just how far to go. And then gently release that. And we're ready to go down on the mat. So let's scooch forward a little bit, and we're just going to roll back to lie flat on the mat. Always try to make that a slow trip to the mat when you go to lay down on the mat. So engage the tummy muscles and just gently roll back and take your time to stretch all the way out. Extend the legs out, and let's lift both hands up over your head and do a kind of a four-corner stretch. I want you to stretch off all four corners of the mat and just stretch and stretch. Keep breathing, but really feel that long stretch. Tummy comes way in, and then just release it and relax and take a couple breaths. Then let's bring our hands down to the side, and let's go ahead and inhale both legs straight up in the air. And we're going to push through the heels. I want you to just push those heels like you're pushing them straight to the ceiling. And at the same time, the legs are real active. Everything else is totally relaxed. The back should be nice and flat and long on the mat. Feel the crown of the head kind of stretch up. Tummy comes in. Let your arms just be relaxed at your side, but the feet are pulling back. The legs are active. Another good position to practice your yoga toes. So really try to stretch and spread those toes. I can almost see a little bit of ceiling between my right toes. And take one more breath here. Stretch up through the heels. And then on the exhale, let's make this a nice slow, long release of both legs down to the mat. Tummy is tight. And then finally just release the legs to the mat and take a breath. And then let's go ahead and bend the knees. Bring your feet up close to the tailbone and do a little hip release while we're here on the mat. So let's take the right leg and we're going to cross it over the left knee. And then I want you to lift up this left leg, pull it towards the chest, and try to get both hands underneath this thigh. Flex your left toe, flex the right toe, and put this right elbow right into the right thigh. Then release back down so head and shoulders are on the mat. And just gently start to pull this left thigh forward, and you're going to feel a nice big release in that right hip. Again, use your breath to tell you just how far to go, and just enjoy this nice release in the hip. Big, slow breaths. Keep the feet flexed. Try to keep the back just as flat as you can on the mat. And gently release that. Bring the left foot down, release the right, and let's go the other way. So the left leg crosses over the right thigh. Lift that thigh up, and then get both hands underneath the thigh. Put this left elbow right in the middle of that left thigh. Flex your feet. Lay back down on the mat, so the head, shoulders on the mat, and just gently pull that right thigh towards the chest. And again, your body will tell you in a hurry just how far to come. But just enjoy that nice release and stretch. Deep, slow breaths. This is another good position to feel like you're breathing right through that hip. And then gently release that. Bring both feet on the mat. And now let's bring both knees up to the chest. Let's reach up and give those knees a hug. And feel like you're flattening the back out. You're really just flattening the back against the mat. Hug the knees in as tight as you can. Feel the crown of the head stretch up and out on the mat. And just enjoy that stretch. Then let's release hands straight out to the side. And we're going to do a little spinal twist. And let's just drop the knees to the left side, so roll the hips over. That right hip comes way off the mat. You can bring this left hand up to kind of pull this knee over. But stretch tall through the head, and then turn to look at that right hand. So we've got a twist in the spine from the top of the head all the way down through the tailbone. Deep, slow breaths. And then gently release that, come back to center, and we go the other way. So gently release the legs to the right side, bring that right hand up, help pull them over, stretch the head tall and turn to look to that left hand, and just enjoy the release. Feel like your breath is massaging up and down the spine, so big slow breaths. Feel that breath go all the way up from the tailbone to the top of the shoulders. And gently release that, come back to center. Release your feet to the mat and stretch your legs nice and long. And this is my favorite pose. This is Savasana. If you've got your eye pillow, or just stretch long, relax on the mat, bring the pillow, rest it on your eyes, and just totally relax. Savasana, final relaxation, is just as important as any of the stretching poses. This is the time where we kind of integrate and absorb all those good intentions and stretches of yoga. So just stay in Savasana for 5-10 minutes. Just do this final complete relaxation. Let your body absorb all the good intention and stretching of yoga. And I wanted to close with a Mary Oliver poem. This is my wife Peggy's favorite poem of Mary Oliver. This is The Journey. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble when you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundation, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough in a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left the voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing that you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. May the peace of yoga and the power of yoga be with you today and all days. Namaste.